Hello, this is Shan Chandrasekhar welcoming you to another delightful part of our programming. As a part of our tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema, we have now featured some of the topmost movie stars of India, the topmost movie producers and directors and music directors and playback singers, and we have featured a variety of artists as well. We have one of the finest from the Indian film industry, none other than the vibrant, extraordinarily talented Jaaved Jaaferi.
Welcome, friends, to the show that never ends.
तुम्हारे अप्पा को मेरी इज्जत से लारा लप्पा करने का कोई अधिकार नहीं, समझे?
अरे बोल बेबी बोल।
कहाँ तक पढ़े हो तुम?
10 बजे तक।
10 बजे तक?
पकड़ने कौन गया था? पैसे देकर हीरा लेना था। That's it.
2 बोतल पानी से पी सकते हैं या धो सकते हैं। रेत से पहुंच के छिल गई है जनाब।
सरकार जेब में किसकी है? मेरे बाप की।
लातों के भूत बातों से नहीं मानते। Ghost of the kicks not listening to the talks.
Jaaved, it's absolutely a pleasure to see you.
Absolute pleasure to me.
You have won many awards in every Filmfare Award, IFA Award, various awards. But in addition to that, when you actually appear on stage, sometimes you entertain for just a few minutes in between a couple of major movie star dance items. You take the audience by storm. I want you to watch a little sample.
Sure. मनोज कुमार साहब, उनका ये स्टाइल, लाइक डांस करना है तो उनका वो एक ये करके, तो उसमें क्या होता है एडवांटेज कि आपको कभी आप रंग काला नहीं होगा आपका। मिथुन दा, अब ये पाचन शक्ति के लिए आयुर्वेदा ने कहा इट्स वेरी गुड दिस मूवमेंट।
Jaaved, I had the pleasure of having you in the studio several years ago when we were doing a segment with you, and you were in terms of impressions, what you did about Amitabh Bachchan, about Om Puri, and you imitated Shatrughan Sinha, and then of course you imitated Sylvester Stallone.
Right.
Now I want to show some samples here. Okay? I want you to watch with me what you did at that time.
There's a new movie called Agnipath, which was famous, and he's changed his voice in that. It's a slightly different voice, and his gesticulations are slightly different. So, I don't know, is it okay to do it out here?
Sure, please look at the audience directly and do it right there.
And he's sitting down, and the whole style is very, it's. And he goes, the voice, I don't know if you saw the movie?
No, I haven't seen it.
He's got a changed voice in that, and he goes like, hey. दीनानाथ विजय चौहान क्या आए मौत के साथ अब उनका 6 बजे अपॉइंटमेंट है। हाँ, अपॉइंटमेंट मालूम। हाँ, टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करने का क्या, लाइफ में बहुत गड़बड़ है। हाँ, बोलेगा मिलेगा तुमको है, ठीक है।
Oh, that's wonderful. Do one more for us. Do Shatrughan Sinha.
I mean, he goes like, बढ़िया, जली को कहते हैं, भुजी को रा कहते हैं, जिसमें से बारूद निकले कुत्ते, उसे विश्वनाथ कहते हैं। हाँ, चलो, हाँ, ठीक है ना मुन्ना, हाँ।
Now, I want you to watch your imitation of Sylvester Stallone. In my opinion, until today, by the way, thousands and thousands of people have watched it across Canada and the United States. They've never seen a better imitation of Sylvester Stallone by anybody anywhere in the world, but for you. I want you to watch this with me.
Rocky, and
Right.
he goes like,
Rambo.
yeah, this is from Rocky.
Okay.
Oh yeah, mine's Rocky Balboa, yeah. Oh yeah, I went to fights, see my nose. Yeah, I'm proud of my nose. What are you doing? What are you doing for the next 14, 15 years, yeah? I get a little married or something, yeah? I ain't dumb. You want to hit me? I hit my fight. Come on, hit me. I ain't saying no shit.
Congratulations.
Yo, my friend Shan is pretty good. I like the way you do your stuff. You're going to come over the ring and maybe next year in a few gloves or something. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Jaaved, you're a trailblazer. As a dancer, you changed the pattern of Indian cinema in terms of the history of Indian cinema.
Okay.
Your father made an incredible contribution to Indian cinema during his time. So in your family, it probably runs now 30, 40 years in terms of 2 generations or even more.
My father's 66 years in the industry.
Wow, incredible. So 2/3 of 100 years of Indian cinema has already been covered by him.
Yes.
So tell me about the significance of that trend. What changed the Indian cinema in terms of that particular dance concept that you introduced?
Okay, we're talking 85, and
Meri Jung, am I right?
Meri Jung was the
Right.
first movie which released.
That you and Anil Kapoor and
Anil
Meenakshi
Kapoor, yes,
Seshadri.
Meenakshi Seshadri. Khushbu was with me.
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think she was introduced also.
Right.
And yeah, and I was approached by Mr. Ghai's company, and I didn't even, you know, I wasn't ready for the, and I was in my final year in college, and
Right.
I didn't know where I was headed, honestly. I was still like, I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
So I was just studying, and I got a call, and they said, we'd like to see something of yours. So I didn't even go. I sent I'd won the All India Dance Championship. So I sent the tape across. I said, well, you can have a look. Then they said, we'd like to meet you. And I was like, oh, okay. So Mr. Ghai was a senior man. I went and met him. And he said, look, this is the movie, and I'd like you to play. He's a bad guy in the film, but he's a cool bad guy, which didn't exist in Hindi movies then. The bad guys were always the bad guy. And he said, no, you're a normal, cool college kid who dances well, who entices women, and he's cool, but he's bad. So I said, okay. You know, I said, can I ask, you know, can I take a day to think about it? And he was like, a bit for a moment, because it's like, I'm Subhash Ghai. You're doing a film with the biggest actors, the biggest platform, and you want to think about it. Then he realized that maybe I want to speak to my father about it. So he said, no, I talk to your dad and see what you think. So I spoke to my dad, and my father said, well, it's a good team. You've got great actors with you. Nutanji, Anil is there. And NCP Saab was the very senior producer. So Ghai Saab is senior director. He said, you've got a good team. Javed Saab was the writer. He said, well, it's a good team. You're in good hands, so fine, if you feel that way. So we just jumped into it, and then it went ahead. But the dancing part, Ghai Saab, he came up with this, I want to do rock and roll. That was his line.
Yeah.
So he thought of bold, baby, bold rock and roll. That was
Right.
And then, and I said, like, why don't we do something more rap and hip hop, because that's what was coming in. But it was very alien to India. It was like, it would be a shock to them. So I said, this is what the rap is. So he let me incorporate the rap in between the song.
Beat street, the king with the beat. You see you rocking that beat from across the street.
That was the first time rap was actually heard in India, but because obviously they couldn't do the whole song, so
Right.
they just used that little bit in the song. And the dance part of it, he was pretty open. He said, do your stuff. But obviously because the song was rock and roll, so the style was rock and roll, you know, the whole. But he let me use that. And Saroji, of course, she, you know, when she had choreographed me, so she said, "Tu kya karta hai, tu dikha, mere ko dikha." So Saroji is wonderful. I love her. And she said, do what you do. And then she said, okay. Then when we were shooting, this was for something else. So she called the entire dance industry, the dancers, and she says, "Ye dekh, Western dance isko bolte." And I loved her. You know, she was very close to my father. They started
Of
kind
course, of course.
And she said, okay, let me use this.
Yeah.
She was very open.
Yeah.
And she said, okay,
And
this is my
Saroji
choreography.
Saroji was very well known for her choreography with Jitendra and Sridevi in those days.
Yeah, but what she did was,
Yeah.
she didn't say, I'm the choreographer. She said, okay, you do this here.
Right.
This is what you do, and this is your highlight. So
Right.
you use this here.
Right.
Which was very, very nice. I like that, because they let you give you the parameters. So that's how it happened. A lot of people told me, oh, ye dance nahi chalega, this is too much, you know, they like simple stuff. Hindi movie audiences, this is too complicated. I said, well, that's what I do, and I love it, and I think when you do something, if you get people excited when they're watching it, that's what you want.
Right.
You know? And it did catch on, and then everybody wanted to dance. Youngsters wanted to. Obviously, the simple guys who just want to shake a bit,
Right.
they won't. But the other guys who want to do much more, it gives them, okay, it's the Kickstarter. Like, okay, I should do this, I want to do this. So
Yeah.
that's what it started.
दिल में बस जाने दे मुझको दिल के सब दरवाजे खोल.
You set up a real trend at that point. Years later, a lot of people started emulating you. They started imitating you. And it became a trend in the industry whereby fitness of heroes became very important, and they had to really be dancers, or they had to learn how to dance. But in your case, you had a series of movies in which all your dance songs were big hits. So tell me about the subsequent films where it became a theme.
Okay, let me tell you which are my favorites, which
Yeah.
because I don't know if you have them or somewhere, but of course, Meri Jung started it. Then there was a movie called Jawani Zindabad. Again, Saroji did there's a title song.
Right.
Jawani Zindabad.
मिलाकर बोल जवानी जिंदाबाद.
It has some good moments
Right.
where I use a lot of little. I don't tap, but I use that kind of technique. I use jazz. I use props. Like, there was a trash can which I
Right.
picked up from a Gene Kelly film, Brigadoon or something. I don't know. So it's a whole thing. He puts the trash can in his foot, and they do like a tap thing with the can. Tang, tang, tang. So the whole sequence in Gateway of India we shot it.
Right.
So Saroji let me work that bit out. Then there was Wo Phir Aayegi, where a director called Mr. B.R. Ishara, a senior man, and he told me, Javed, This is a song you're singing for your beloved. I don't want dancers. I don't want 50 dancers. I want you alone for 5 minutes holding the stage.
Fantastic.
It was never done before. That a hero
Yeah.
is dancing alone for 5 minutes.
Fabulous.
It's not a romantic song.
Right.
It is about romance,
Right.
but it is a full production dance number.
Right.
So in that, the director allowed me to put the props and design the set the way I wanted it. So I
Fantastic.
put the steps, the piano, the chairs, like, the whole thing going over the chairs, which was I picked from Fred Astaire. See, look, my heroes were Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and those kind of, and Michael Jackson later. But Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly, the creativity they had,
Right.
I copied. I don't lie, and I'm not, I say, yes, I copied that. Because we didn't have the opportunity to learn like that.
Right.
So I used, if you look at that, Wo Phir Aayegi,
Yeah.
I'm using the piano, I'm using the chair, following it, and that was the first time they saw it, like running up and just like this chair, just dropping it down.
Sure.
And I used the steps, so that was one of my favorite things. And I used a pink suit, like this color. And no hero wore pink suit. So that's what I wore with the tie. And then Lashkar was one where I used something. Surma Bhopali, a film my father made. And the first time we had UV lights. So the ultraviolet effect.
Yeah.
Whereby, you just see the thing. So we painted my eyes, my lips, and the clothes were ultraviolet. So when we shot in a UV light.
Wow.
First time ever
Wow.
on the Hindi screen.
Yeah.
And that whole thing is amazing to watch.
Right.
So Surma Bhopali had that. Lashkar had bits of that, like the very ninja thing I used in just white neon. So that, which is way back. We're talking about 88, 89. And then Oh Darling Ye Hai India with Shah Rukh, where
Right.
he played and Ketan Mehta directed it.
Right.
There was a very interesting dance, like a proper musical where we have a conversation.
Right.
Ye raat batao kiski hai, mere baap ki. So these are moments I remember. Then there was a song I did called Mumbhai, which I wrote. And,
Oh, it was a big hit.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Khane ka, peene ka, man kya So that again is very interesting as a video, and the kind of style of dancing and the very attitude, and it's hip hoppy but mixed with
That
Indian.
had some rap as well in it.
Hey, the whole thing was a rap
Yeah,
song.
right.
But again, because till then the rap was more Dak Dak and Tu Mera Dil, and it was very shallow. This was a satire on the system.
Right.
Where he spoke about the criminals in the system and who runs Bombay.
Right.
So it was funny, but it has said a lot of things
Right.
in the end. So that was Mumbai.
Mumbai is the major place where you survive if you've got the base.
Just mentioned about your father's film. When we're doing a tribute to 100 years of Indian cinema, we cannot but not mention the extraordinary contribution made by your father, whose contribution was outstanding to Indian cinema. Famous Mr. Jagdeep. So tell me a bit about him and his top classics. Which one would you consider as a son, if you pay tribute to your father, what would be the classic that you would always remember?
Okay, to start with, his career started when he was 9. After the partition, wiped out on the streets, everything gone, came from a renown, like his father was a lawyer with the Maharaja of Dhatia.
Wow.
Partition, came back to India, where while the Muslims were going into that side of the country, going towards Pakistan, my grandmother and an 8-9-year-old boy are coming through that whole bloodshed back into India because saying this is our land and this is where we want to come back to.
Right.
When they came back, cut a long story short, on the streets.
Right.
And now it's survival. So it was right from, selling, selling soap, walking behind somebody holding, tel ki botal and saying tel malish with the malish wala and walking with his bottles and everything. He lived on streets, on pavements with his mother, and he came up, and then films just happened because it was a matter of survival. And he had never seen a film in his life. So because he spoke well Urdu. So there was a requirement in Afsana, B.R. Chopra Saab's first film which he produced.
Right.
So there was a little, I think, Ashok Kumar, Bachpan ka role hai, and maybe Tabassum and my father, they were together, and he had to say some Urdu lines. So they said, like, will you do this? But my father says, I know. He's saying, how much will it pay me? So they said, some 1 anna, 2 anna. He said, okay, done, let's go. So that was the beginning of his career.
आलीजा, इंसान की आंख धोखा खा सकती है, दिल धोखा नहीं खा सकता. हमारी आंख खा सकती है धोखा, दिल नहीं खाता. अंधेरा हो तो क्या अंधे को रास्ता मिल नहीं जाता.
And then he was acknowledged for Hum Panchi Ek Dal Ke,
Right.
where he played one of the leads. And Nehruji, Jawaharlal Nehru, sir, he gave him his personal stick because everybody else he gave some token of appreciation. He called them to the parliament, and he presented
like a personal stick which he used to hold.
Wow.
So he gave it to my father, and it was treasured with him till he still treasures it. So that hum panchi ek dal ke.
बोली अपनी अपनी बोले, बोली अपनी अपनी बोले, जी बोले, जी बोले.
He was in Aar Paar, a fantastic role with Gurudat Saab, and he is throughout the film.
इलायची हाँ क्या देखो पूरा खुशट है ये नहीं अंदर वो ही निक्की का बाप.
My father, see what was special in him, and this is an incident I relate. There was a movie called Footpath with Dilip Saab was starring,
right.
And my dad plays a young Dilip Saab, and the Muhurat shot was in him, and my dad had to give a shot where he's crying, and my dad was 13 and or 12, and he didn't use glycerin, he just cried like this, and Dilip Saab was like, you will go far. And he took him in his car and said, let me drop you home.
Amazing.
And he stayed in a small little shanty somewhere in Mahim, and he dropped him home. And at the petrol station, there was a guy coming autograph for Dilip Saab, and he took the book and he says, here, this is tomorrow's Dilip Kumar. And my dad remembers this, and he said, this was my first autograph with Dilip Saab. Made me sign for somebody.
Fantastic.
So yeah, and that's his background. He was a bit role in Dobiga Zameen. They plays the shoeshine boy.
अबे वो है ही ऐसा. कल मैंने उससे कहा चल बे कन्हैया हमारा देखे आए. नरगिस है उसमें तो कहने लगा मेरे पास पैसे ही नहीं है.
And he has these stories of these wonderful directors, Bimal Roy Saab, Gurudat Ji, how they were obsessed, what they did. Yeah. I learned so much from just listening to him.
Fantastic.
You know, and then of course he became a hero with AVM in Bhabi.
किसको पता अब इस नगरी में
Barkha, Chali Chali Re Patang, and with Nanda, etc.
चली चली रे पतंग मेरी चली रे.
So that he had a stint, and then things went some way. He was very young, he didn't know how to hold his career, he was not business, whatever. And he shifted, then he became a comedian. I think Brahmachari was one of the first ones where he became a comedian with. And then the whole thing in comedy. So yes, these roles, like I said, Aar Paar, Hum Panchi Ek Dal Ke, as a child actor, you see the range and the maturity of his performances at that age. And then as a comedian, well, the peak is, of course, everybody looks at Sholay because that's the biggest, and the Surma Bhopali character, what he did, which was brilliantly written by Salim Javed also.
Right, right.
अरे बहुत बदमाश है मगर हमारा नाम भी सूरमा भोपाली ये सही नहीं है.
So these are, I mean, then he's done a whole spate of movies with, Andaz Apna Apna, and with Mithunda, he had so many movies like Suraksha, those crazy comedies, whatever,
अरे अब तो मैं किसी से भी उसकी शादी करा दूंगा चाहे जबरदस्ती क्यों ना करानी पड़े.
And he has been a grounded, very people of the earth. He's connected. He said, look, I'm catering, that's my audience. I'm not looking at the NRI, I'm not looking at the scribe who sits in a fancy office and says, oh, this is loud. He's saying, that's my audience. They understand this. If I do subtle, they won't. I'm looking at that Kisan, I'm looking at the little guy from a small town, and he doesn't want complicated humor. He doesn't want language humor. Because if you look at Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx were brilliant, but how many people look as opposed to a Charlie Chaplin because it's action.
Brilliant.
You don't need language
Brilliant.
to transmit. So he's saying, I need actions which can make the simple man understand. Let me not play with the words because India, diversity of language, accent. So he stuck to that, and I understood that from him.
I have a pleasant surprise for you. It'll bring you nostalgic memories because just with what you described right now, I have here B.R. uncle, Mr. B.R. Chopra that I interviewed. He spoke about Afsana, and you spoke about your father in that particular role there.
Yes.
I want you to see what he said. Tell me about your earlier ventures, your first venture.
My first picture was Afsana.
Oh, Afsana.
Maybe you have not heard of it.
No, with Ashok Kumar, I think.
With Ashok Kumar, who did a double role. That is my first picture. And that picture actually made me a director because that was my first picture, and I had never directed, I never been an assistant to anybody. I had never had any technical training. And it was just a leap in the dark, but somehow, as I always say, God helped me. And I was able to make that picture, and that picture was a big, big hit.
ये है लीला देवी.
और आप?
आप हैं मीरा देवी, हमारे पड़ोस में रहती.
आपका पड़ोस तो बड़ा दिलचस्प है.
You mentioned about Sholay. I want you to watch what Sippy said about Sholay and the artists in the film. Okay. Tell us about Sholay.
Well, in its time, it was the most expensive film under production.
And one of the most technically well-produced films, on international level, I should say. Even compared to Hollywood standards, I think that film would stand out any day in the Hollywood screen. You were on the sets of Sholay working with your father during that period, am I correct?
That's right.
Tell us about your experience working with your father during that film.
Well, there's a lot of action, as you know, in that film. And we were split into 2 units. One was the second unit, which did most of the action and the scenes to do with the action. And one was the main unit, which my brother, of course, he directed the film. Ramesh, yeah.
Your film popularity had reached such a pinnacle, and you decided to go into television industry, and you were one of the pioneers introducing reality shows, dance shows on television. Your Boogie Woogie was a huge hit for us in the Western world.
17 years.
Yeah, that was on Sony. You know, like we're partners with Sony on our channel. With a number of years we worked with them, and we've telecast all your series on Boogie Woogie, and each one was a big hit for us. Similarly, that you've had others as well. So, and Channel V, in terms of your contribution, that's another channel of ours here in Canada. We collaborate very closely with News Corp and Star, and you know, so we're delighted that you were closely involved as well in terms of the ground floor, you know, building up the audience in those days. So tell me about these experiences on television.
Well, when Channel V came to me, I was kind of getting restless with what was happening with me in the Hindi movies. I was not getting the kind of work I wanted to do. And there was typecasting happening. And then at that point, when I said, okay, let me try this. This is a young channel for youngsters. They speak a little in-your-face language. Yeah. And they're kind of, not extremely, but respectfully irreverent. Respectfully irreverent, okay, interesting. But so they said, man, that's like suicide for your career. You're going to jump into television, they'll write you off in the movies. They're going to say like, your movie career is over because now you're going to television and you have nothing better to do. And I said, and that time the actors were not doing so much of television, nobody was doing. It was like, okay, if you're a wannabe, if you finished your career in the movies over, so you go to television. But I said, no man, I can tread some great ground here, I can do something very crazy. And I so-called became a VJ, but I was very unlike any other VJ because at that point, most of the guys were going like, all right, yo guys, let's hear Sunil Shetty coming on. And I said, no, that's not Indian, that's some Canadian-American accent. I'm creating to, you know. And I said, I'll speak in my Indian accent.
Right.
And it was crazy because I had just come from Hajj, so I was bald. So I had a safa, you know, and I wore 2 earrings like this. And it's a British guy, a white British guy. He was like quite amused, saying, okay, you got this guy, which is pretty cool with the safa, and you got 2 earrings. And what I did was, I got this whole Hinglish bit going, which is amalgamating English, the Western humor, but keeping the Indian respect. Like they would say, okay, so in the script, suppose sometime, OP did this, and Dharam did. I said, we can't say OP, it's Nayyar Saab or Dharamji. That's India. We respect, we don't talk like this about people in India, you know, like maybe in the West they do. And then this whole thing about playing with words in English and the humor, which was the puns, the craziness in the humor, the break links, which became like individual links on the, before going into a break, we used to like, it was never normal, it was some crazy stuff happening. So that, and keeping the reverence, but having fun, like not making fun, like having fun with them, not making fun of them. So that was a very, very fine line, and I got this sensor within me. I said, look, this is what I can do. So with the respect, and everybody, like Dharamji called me up, Mahmood Saab called me up, Jayaji called me up, he said, no, Bachchan Saab watches and he loves the show and you know what you do. And Dharamji said, I paid tribute to him, and I was imitating him on the show. And he said, you know, it's wonderful, you know, it was Shami Kapoor Saab, he called me. So I mean, for me, that was, I'm sometimes imitating them, but they never felt disrespected.
Absolutely.
So that Channel V was a great phase, one of the most creative phases. Then I had this show called Timex Timepass, where I played 14 characters, and I actually created 14 original characters, Parsi, Punjabi, South Indian, Sindhi, and I had these 14 brothers, you know, and they were hosting this show, which was called Timex Timepass. So yeah, that was the most creative part, and that kind of broke new ground, you know, kind of changed the whole VJ structure, hosting structure.
ये बॉम्बे का फेमस बीच, ये क्या जी?
ये छोटे, एक काम करे, एक कटिंग और खारी 2 साथ में ले क्या?
मैं हूँ जे आपका फिल्मी गाइड जो आपको ले जाएगा ऑन अ फैंटास्टिक फिल्मी राइड। बर्समोर की फिल्म है विक्टोरिया नंबर 203। बोल हीरे कहाँ है? क्या है विक्टोरिया सीक्रेट? जो तू सोच रहा है वो बात नहीं है।
It's fantastic. Now let's go live on stage. We had the honor of having you as the MC for our show at the Sky Dome when we brought A.R. Rahman and close to 116 people to perform. It was a massive event. Until now, in the history of Canada, that particular show that we did is considered one of the largest and the most entertaining live events ever staged, especially at the Sky Dome, with a massive audience. And one of the reasons why it was very successful was because of you and your presence.
Thank you.
And your extraordinarily dynamic contribution in terms of bringing the audience together right from the beginning. You brought them, like it was just fantastic. I want you to watch a little bit. It will bring you again pleasant memories.
Yes.
Now, this is how you did it.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Again, congratulations. Jaaved, it's really interesting. Today, I'm sitting here, I'm delighted to introduce you. That day, it was unbelievable. Frankly, it was a great feeling. You introduced me on stage. Yes. Let's watch this.
And the magic of Toronto. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present before you the CEO of Asia Television Network, Canada's only 24 hours licensed television network. Please welcome Mr. Shan Chandrasekhar, the person behind the show in Toronto. A big hand for him, Toronto.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, the reason why I brought this up, since then, you've become such a big star in the sense, you were always a big star, but since then, you've now emceed the biggest of award shows around the world. You've traveled all over the world. So tell me about the adrenaline in you. So when you're live and spontaneous, with your great sense of humor, the combination of these three and your stardom, how does it work on stage for you?
I still now, when I have to do something, either as host or dance or perform live, I have a certain sense of nervousness. I am tense, I'm nervous. And I think it's good, it's healthy, because you can't be cocky and overconfident. Confidence, yes, but I like to do my homework. I like to do an exam which has to be scripted, that this is, because obviously, as you know, it's time bound. You can't just ramble, and drag. So you have to know exactly, and then you keep that 20% leeway for putting in your little improvisations, impromptu, whatever happens. So I do that. I connect with the audience. I like to keep that respect, and I know the line. The censor is with me. What I can say in front of this audience, what is, an adult or universal kind of statement, depending on the audience. Sure. I have over the years kind of honed that sensor inside me that I can say this here or I can't. A lot of people feel, no, you can't say this.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I know I can say it.
Right.
Trust me. I know it's how you say it and what you say. Right. No, you can't. So a lot of things on television people say. Yeah. But yes, I do that, and I like to reach out to the audience, and I don't like to feel that the audience is, it can become condescending when you say and you try to treat the audience like, okay, you guys, and it's me. And, but I try to keep the humility that no, nothing. It's you are, everything. I am there because of you. You can put me off and just wipe me out if they are not with me. So I have to give them that respect, and it's extremely important to give those people the respect and have fun with them. And then once you get that camaraderie with them, then they are with you. But when you come on in the beginning, it's important for them to realize, this guy is respecting us.
Yeah, absolutely. Another great contribution of yours, I think, you in India, because being a multilingual nation, the film-going population is one of the largest of its kind in the world, with 2.4 billion eyeballs, like over 1 billion people. You took Hollywood stuff, especially Disney, from what I understand. Yes. India is a country, where Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi, Gujarati, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Bengali, so many languages. And you started introducing the concept of dubbing.
Yes.
Tell us about this incredible venture, because you collaborated with a great man like Yash Films as well.
So initially, Disney came to me. They wanted to dub Hindi.
Right.
Then I did Mickey Mouse.
Right.
And I did a bit of Goofy and Sher Khan the tiger.
Wow.
So there was something called DuckTales, which Disney had. So I used to play this character called Don Karnage.
Wow.
And Don Karnage was this crazy pirate in the sky, and he was a Spanish guy in the original. So we had to Indianize it.
Wow.
So he was like, my name is Don Karnage. And he had this crazy laugh,
Fantastic.
Yeah. Mickey was more toned down,
Right.
Oh, yes, Minnie.
So that Mickey was different. Then there was Goofy and Sher Khan, of course. how interesting. I just enjoyed it. It was not so much for the money,
right?
But I love dabbling into these kind of things and experimenting with my creativity.
Right.
So I used to put a lot of Indianization into the dubbing. I didn't
Right.
dub it exactly. So I used to put characters and make them Bengali or somebody Punjabi or whatever.
Right.
And that happened, and then I scripted the Hindi version of Jungle Book 2. So I adapted a lot. Like I made somebody from, they had the vultures.
Yeah.
Where in the English they are British.
Right.
Or I might, where are you going? I don't know. I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what you want to do. So I made them the Dilli wala.
अरे विश्व बोलिए भाई कहाँ को जा रही है तू शेर खान बेटा है भाई.
So I just converted it to very colloquial.
Wow.
And I wrote those scripts. And then I did The Incredibles, which was again a Pixar animation. So I scripted that and I played the antagonist in that. Shah Rukh dubbed for the lead character.
चाल पैसे खाली कर पैसे. पैसे? कैसे पैसे जी? अबे हड्डी.
And so that was these are two interesting projects. And then I started dubbing for something called Takeshi's Castle, which became a huge cult show. Nobody expected it. It was a children's show. It's a Japanese game show by this guy called Beat Takeshi, and he had this show called and the great part of that show is there's no time and space, so you don't know where you are and when you are. It's shot in the 81, 82, and today you watch it, you won't know if it's old. It's crazy, and I used to just do the commentary on that. And that became called Adults started watching it. In fact, Bipasha Basu once met me and she didn't know. And then she was with somebody who was there and she said, that Takeshi's Castle is Javed's voice. No way! Because they used to watch it at night. And a lot of adult following happened because it was crazy. It was just me going mad and looking at what's happening and commenting on it. So that became a cult show and still running somewhere. They repeat it past 8 years or 9 years or whatever. So that was the aspect of dubbing and getting into this zone of, And then, of course, Yash Raj, with collaboration with Disney, made Roadside Romeo.
Right.
So they had, the first time ever in India, somebody attempted a proper real live animation with Saif Ali Khan enacting the lead character and Kareena Kapoor doing and me playing the villain called Charlie Anna.
Right.
Merk Marlum. Myself, Charlie.
You said you're from Australia there or something like that, right?
No. That was a movie called Salam Namaste.
Oh, right.
That was the exactly bit.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the animation character.
Oh, animation.
And I played this guy called Charlie Alna, who's a bulldog.
Right.
And he's a South Indian from Bombay.
Right.
In the gangs of Bombay.
Right.
Merk Marlum. Yeah. See you later, Worley Gutter. Or some crazy.
क्यों बे कुतुब मीनार के मिनिएचर? क्या रे? यहाँ क्या कर रहे लाए? Well, sir.
But Salam Namaste was a big thing where I played this Australian blonde.
Preeti Zinta and yourself
Yes,
and
and
Saif Ali Khan.
Yes.
Right. Brilliant.
मैं इंडियन था, अब मैं ऑस्ट्रेलियन हूँ.
आदि ने मुझे पहले कभी बताया नहीं कि हमारी एक बहन भी है और उसे कैंसर भी है.
क्या पीछे क्या छुपा है?
कुछ नहीं आंटी.
हाथ सामने ला.
Of course.
Because of your extraordinary communication skills and you're fluently multilingual, so you've done Western films as well. You've done some English films.
In fact, Canada, Deepa's first film, Sam and Me.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yes,
Sam
which was in 1990.
Right.
And I came here to Canada. I stayed here in Sutton Place. It doesn't exist anymore. It was a fantastic hotel somewhere in Yonge Street.
Right on Wellesley Street, yes.
So, I stayed there for a month. Kulbhushan ji, myself, Om Puri Sahab, and it was a great experience. For a month I was here, and it's a great film, small little, very sweet film. Then I was in Fire with her, and she shot that in India.
Right.
So that was, of course, and I had to
that's
speak...
with Nandita Das.
Nandita, Shabana Azmi, Kulbhushan.
Right.
So that was very serious and a very, very lovely role Deepa gave me, and as an actor to expand the boundaries. And I loved it. As you said again, yes, the voice. And I had to keep the accent a little more Indian over there. I mean, this is also Indian, but there was a little more colloquial Delhi kind of language. He's playing a Delhi boy with a little video parlor.
We've only been married for 3 days, okay?
Everything you do is for that bloody Swami of yours.
Yes, and I did a French film called Hanuman, which was a French production with India. Tabu was there, and there was a British actor. So these are my forays into the so-called the international films.
Is that the Percept production by any chance?
No, that was a while ago. It was in 1998.
Oh, I see.
98.
Okay. Right.
The French film Hanuman.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't get a big release, but it's a kind of a art, not exactly art film, but it was with the monkeys, and they played a lot. In 3 months, they shot it, trained monkeys. It was a pretty intensive film.
A magnificent stela of the monkey god.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all accessories to theft. Crime, you're putting the gods to death.
Some really big, prominent Indian film personalities have gone into politics, such as Amit ji, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. the great late Mr. Sunil Dutt, and there are some very high-profile people like that. And you are not an exception either, because there was some attraction. People had approached you obviously regarding some political career. So tell me about your involvement in politics. What motivated you to go that route? The Aam Aadmi Party, for that matter.
I was never wanting to be in politics. I have been away from politics. I've always been away. Because I feel it's something, it's the whole face you have to keep in front. You can't be yourself.
Right.
And there was a lot of mess and muck in politics. But I just saw that some people wanted to make a change in the system. It's the problem with the system. It's not a political party. It's a system, the way it operates.
Right.
And everybody's a victim of that system.
Right.
And that is like a virus eating the roots of the basic fabric of our country. And I felt these people want to bring about a change.
Yeah.
And they want to bring about, it's a revolution. So you have to change the system. And to change that, you have to be a part of the structure of the system. See, yesterday I had a conversation and they said, oh, but they're making a documentary on that. First they rebel against the system and then they become a part of the system saying they want to change the system. I said, no, they want to be a part of the structure of the system to change the system.
Interesting, very interesting.
So the big difference in being the system and being a structure to change the system.
Right.
So yes, I wanted to be a part of that. I fought elections from Lucknow and I stood against Mr. Rajnath Singh, who's head of the BJP, and Ms. Rita Bahuguna, who's Congress, very senior people.
झूठे वादे करते हैं आके लूटते रहे हमारे देशों को, दिलों में नफरत पैदा कर रहे हैं, तू हिंदू तू मुसलमान लड़, हमको वोट दे, हमको नोट दे, हम तो चले यहाँ से भैया.
And I stood from Lucknow because I felt, see, Bombay, there was too much happening, and Priya was standing from that Saab's daughter. Sure. And that was my constituency. And I said, yeah, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to stand with Priya. This is from Bachman ki friend, whatever. Right. And then I said, okay, so the other place I could go to is somewhere like Lucknow, because I know the culture, I know the people. I've been going in and out of Lucknow.
Right.
And I don't go to some place like South India or Punjab where I don't know the people and the culture, the language. It's important. A lot of people go and fight. They say parachute, they say whatever. Right. So it's not. It's, it was part of what I understood. And I fought and I did my best. I got about 43,000 votes, which is reasonable for somebody like me to come in. I still support them. And it was very funny. I said, I always crack a joke. I said, well, I saw a politician, and what got me into it was, and the reporter asks him, well, sir, please tell us about the economic disparity in our country. And he was like slightly flummoxed for a bit. Economic disparity. Well, madam, as long as the economy is in this party and not in that party, it is all right. So that got me. I said, spot on. Okay, that's it. That's the problem area. It's about the economy. Politics is the business. Yeah. So I said, well, we got to get out of that. And and there was one more thing. Saying, so tell us about. There's a lot of disasters happening in this country. The disaster management is not. So what's the death rate in your constituency? Death rate in my constituency, same as everywhere else. 1 death per person. So anyway, yeah, so it's just, but yeah, you have to be conscious of what's happening around in the country. It is a mess, and I just want to be a part where I can be a part in helping to clean up the mess and be with the right kind of mindset. So that's the only reason. I don't want to be a politician. I don't want to become a leader. I just want to be a part of the system where I can help and contribute as a citizen of this country, who loves this country, who, because too much of communal divides. It pains me, there's too much of this and they're using it for their benefit and making people kill each other, and it's like very, very dirty. So I didn't want to jump, but I just felt it was too much. I said, no, I want to be a part. I want to contribute what I can. Where I am from, if people are standing and listening to me, if I can do and contribute from my side, that's it.
One of the greatest impressionists, okay? I've heard you doing impressions of some of the biggest stars in the past, especially the previous generation. But now recently, I'm sure you must have added some more to the current cinema scene in India. Just give me any one or two.
I don't see, as I said again, it's like a hobby. I'm not a professional.
Sure. No, I understand. Very spontaneous, because you're nobody can be more spontaneous than you.
Well, आजकल शाहरुख काफी काम कर रहे हैं. It's okay, it's fine, and मैं नहीं जाऊँगा, कोई बात नहीं, कोई नहीं चलता. And then of course there was Sanjay Dutt. I don't know if you heard me doing Sanjay. See, Sanjay Dutt, everybody's like Bachchan Saab. Like Bachchan Saab, his old voice is very different, which was आज खुश तो बहुत होगे तुम, वो आदमी जिसने कभी तुम्हारी मंदिर की सीढ़ियाँ नहीं चढ़ी. That was the old Bachchan Saab. Now it's आज खुश तो बहुत होगे तुम, वो आदमी जिसने कभी. It's the whole change in the voice.
Brilliant, yeah.
Same Sanjay Dutt, मेरे बाबा ने एक कहानी कही थी, मेरे पास उसके 5 बेटे थे, उसने एक now that was the old Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah.
Now it become, अरे मामू क्या बात कर रहे हैं, चलना circuit. So it's a slight different change. You know?
Brilliant.
And there's a whole family of voices. Like if you look at Dara Singh Saab, Dev Kumar, Randhir Kapoor, Amjad Khan, Akshay Kumar. It's the same family of voice. Like Dara Singh Saab. बात ये है तबस्सुम कि मुझे उर्दू ज़बान से बहुत लगाव है और ये बात बिल्कुल हकीकत है कि मैंने उर्दू की तरफ मुतवज्जह की. Then there's Dev Kumar, which is again similar voice. ये बदली में से चांद कहाँ से निकल आया?
Wow.
Then you have Randhir Kapoor. नहीं भैया, तुम ये नहीं कर सकते भैया. Then you have Amjad Khan, again similar voice. माला जिसका एक एक मोती टूट के बिखर गया, बोल हाँ.
Wow.
And then you have Akshay Kumar, which is again a similar zone. पूजा पूजा देख छोटे तुम मुझे प्यार करती हो पूजा. So you know that
if I close
zone,
my eyes,
yeah.
I can actually visualize them in front of me because that's how accurate you are.
Yeah, just like, you know, so that was just something, you know, I play with, and you know, so I don't do any of the new actors like Hrithik and Amir. I don't. I got out of that zone.
Sure.
But a few which offhand, as I said again, you know.
Right.
Like one of my favorites is Om Puri Saab. I just love it. I did do the last time I did Amrish Puri, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
When you interviewed.
That's
me,
right.
Which was Indiana Jones.
Right.
Mr. Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
Om Puri ji in a similar. See the bass voice people are. For example, you have Suresh Oberoi.
Yeah.
Also bass, good bass, but he's got a slightly more sharper bass, which is. आप तो नाचीज को शर्मिंदा कर रही हैं. You know, so that's him. Then you have Om Puri, which is. अबे रामा शेट्टी तू ये चाहता है तू थूके और मैं चाटूं. You know, तेवड़ी का कुत्ता चाहिए तुझे. सर हमारी पुलिस नपुंसक हो गई है सर. We are bloody important. So again, I just loved you know, because he's got this gregarious. And this कुलभूषण खरबंदा जो हैं उनकी तो बात ही कुछ और है. So you know, I mean, these are classics. You know, I mean, nowadays you find the actors they don't have. Like, you know, of course, there are guys who brilliantly do Amir Khan or Salman Khan or Hrithik Roshan. I've not gotten that, but I'm kind of toned down on that zone. So, yeah, sorry about that.
This is a fabulous, you know, fascinating session that I'm having with you. I wish we could go even on and on.
Last time I didn't do Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
No.
I am the governor of California. Where do you go? I get airsick. I have to go now.
That is just fantastic. Jaaved, what can people expect from this great, talented Jaaved Jaaferi in the next 2 to 3 years?
I don't know. I'm an entertainer. I formed a company. I'm doing documentaries. Documentaries is a very important aspect of what I'm doing right now. And I hope that the Canadian people come across and understand the reach and what changes can be brought about with the documentaries.
Right.
You know, and it's a service, very, very definite service. So that, producing, directing, television content, maybe we can collaborate on something soon. So,
absolutely. Yeah. And listen, regarding your documentary foundation, I'm very thrilled to see the work that you have done, and being a non-profit organization that you have formed. I want to assure you our wholehearted support for you.
Thank you.
Anything that we can do for your foundation from this part of the world, it's for the asking.
Thank you.
We will do massive amount of promotion, whatever you need here. Anytime you need anything, please feel free. ATN is like your channel, and we will do that for you.
Thank you.
And we tremendously admire the outstanding contribution and work that you have done in the field of art, culture, and especially cinema. And your particular contribution now in socially thought-provoking subjects dealing with documentaries, because you're a popular star, so your presence will give a lot more credibility to these documentaries. So we admire you for that, and we want to support you wholeheartedly.
So I can say now I have your attention, your full attention.
Absolutely. Yes, you do. Jaaved, it's a real pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you.
And we look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And wish you all the best. It's a fantastic facility you've made, you put together. Proud of you and the way you've done, and the content, the way you do, and the way you give detail. When you interview somebody, the kind of detail you got, I've never done anywhere in the world this kind of an interview where you've gone into this kind of a detail and taken things. So fantastic.
Well, it's not difficult because you've done so much. You know, in fact, I can't even do justice to you. So there's more to be done. Maybe on your next trip we will do that. Okay?
Then, hopefully, inshallah.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. Okay.
Thank you.
All the best again, and convey my regards to your family.
Thank you. Will do. Absolutely. Thank you.
We do hope you enjoyed our special today. Until next time, as always, this is Jaya saying bye for now.